Hello and welcome to the latest episode of The Hex with John Arnold, Armand Kafai, and myself, Daniel Robertson. Of course, give us a thumbs up. If you are watching today, give us a comment as well. Let us know what you think about the show, everything we're talking about. We're seeing those views really tick up right now on YouTube, which we really appreciate from everyone. So help us keep growing the show. Give us a subscription. And we have got 6 topics ranging from MLS, CONCACAF, qualifying coming up, the U.S. men's national team roster, and FIFA ticket prices. So stay with us. We will start off, as we do regularly on here, with the MLS winners of the week, guys. There is one, it's kind of crazy, by the way. There's one actual full weekend left of the season, but like LAFC still has 3 games left. Come on, get your stuff together. I realize it's difficult with Club World Cup, but
Club World Cup had a big part to play in that.
Yeah, Armand, where are you going with your winner of the week?
I'm going with a team that won a trophy and also is still alive for number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Your Vancouver Whitecaps.
Oh, the swerve!
I'm tired of talking about the bottom of the Western Conference. I feel like you could pick a winner from there almost every week because of how much it's been changing throughout. But I want to talk about the Vancouver Whitecaps. Look, they could have taken it easy and kind of after a week where they won the Canadian Championship. And Thomas Muller even said earlier this week that, the people of Vancouver, they're fine with not winning a championship, and he wants to change that. So with that, they come in, they beat Vancouver FC 4-2 in the Canadian Championship, and what do? They take care of business against San Jose, who has been a sneaky
a lot
team.
To play for, too.
And they had a lot to play for, and they beat the hell out of them 4-1. And one thing, guys, that I think is really important is they do have a big game against Orlando that's cross-continental. However, they have given themselves a little bit of leeway because San Diego has to go to Portland, who's going to be playing for a lot in a difficult environment, as we know, on decision day. Who does Vancouver have to play? FC Dallas in Vancouver, which is a much more favorable matchup. What is the first tiebreaker when it comes to MLS, guys? We know it's wins, right? It's wins. Vancouver, if they win, and San Diego, let's say Vancouver loses that game against Orlando, right? Mm-hmm. They still have the bandwidth to say, hey, if we win, we will jump San Diego because of where they are in the standings. And Minnesota wouldn't be able to jump them, and they'd be able to jump them. So it gives them a little bit of leeway, especially with all the injuries that they've had as well, too. They're getting Ryan Gauld back into the mix.
Yeah, that was big.
How can you not be a winner if you're the Vancouver Whitecaps?
They won twice, so in the last week, so you got to give it to them. I'm going to go with the team you just mentioned, though, San Diego, who, this is kind of a winner of the week emeritus for the whole season. Obviously, so there's 2 reasons why their win over Houston was huge this last weekend. One, you mentioned Vancouver winning to keep them top. Well, if San Diego hadn't beaten Houston, there was a very good chance they could drop as low as 4th in the table in the Western Conference, behind LAFC and Minnesota. They got the win late against Houston, a game they should have won, keeps them at worst. They're probably going to finish 3rd, could finish 2nd, depending on how LAFC does. We're actually recording while LAFC is playing Atlanta on Sunday night. But here's the thing, guys. They set a new record for expansion teams. 60 points for an expansion team. Incredibly impressive to get past. LAFC actually held the record prior to that.
And Daniel, it wasn't like a fluke like we kind of saw with
No.
Like everything backs them up, right?
Well,
like,
it's funny you mentioned that. So they set 2 records. 1, most points for an expansion team with 60. And 2, most wins for an expansion team with 18 over St. Louis, who that 2023 St. Louis season is an all-time fraud season in the history of MLS. And I think the last 2 seasons...
Don't ask Bradley Carnell about it.
Armand just rubbing his hands together in glee by me mentioning that one. But an all-time fraud season. So you got to give it up to San Diego here for what they've done. We all were a little bit skeptical on what they did to, before the season. Mikey Varas as the coach, a lot of signings. We were kind of like, what are they doing here? They've won 11 road games. I didn't look up how many teams have won 11 road games in their expansion season, but that's got to be the most road wins in expansion history. So props to San Diego for not only what they did tonight, but what they did, or last night, but what they did over the whole season. Where will they be in the playoffs? That's probably something we'll talk about here in a couple weeks. But for now, kudos to San Diego, John.
Yeah, absolutely. My winner of the weekend is Inter Miami. You talk about fraud. Get this fraud trophy chase out of here. The Supporters Shield, they've already got it. They've
Got it.
already got that in the trophy case, and now they don't have to pretend that they care about that trophy anymore. I think they probably would have liked to win it if you put a gun to their head, although you're probably dealing with some other stuff if that's happening. But they go out, 3 assists from Lionel Messi in a 4-1 victory over the New England Revolution. They know they don't have any shot at getting the Supporters' Shield. And now they go into these final 2 matches against Atlanta United, where we're like, is Messi going to be there? Are any of the guys in international duty going to be there? We don't think so. Doesn't matter. Who cares? You're not in the chase for a trophy anymore. You're probably going to finish top 4 no matter what. You might say, well, midweek, they look bad. Yeah, on short rest against a feisty Chicago team.
That was tough.
And then they kind of came back. Luis Suarez had 2. Now, if you want to give your veterans a rest, if you want to rest some guys who have some knocks, you can take care of it and get healthy in the playoffs, where I think it really matters. So to me, Miami is the winner, not only for smashing the New England Revolution, other teams have done that, but for setting up their playoff hunt in a good way, because to me, what really matters, we're talking about Lionel Messi on the field, his legacy with Inter Miami. Will it be a success? Will it be down the road, or will it be a failure? If he lifts MLS Cup, I think we all have to say, look, this guy won every trophy there was to win, except the US Open Cup.
Which they don't even play in.
They skipped that one. I mean, well, you can't say Inter Miami 2 needed to do better because of Messi's positive influence. Although, some of his backers will try and put those seeds in there. Come on. he mentored these guys. No, but seriously, look, if he's the kind of guy where I wouldn't be surprised to see him play in that finale against Nashville, even though, they're playing all these different games. He's going all over the place, playing Puerto Rico in a friendly. He's the kind of guy who just seems to want to play. But now they have the luxury to say, we don't have to. And it's an impressive performance against the Rebs. So to me, Inter Miami, the team in the East that benefits the most, besides the team that actually is lifting the silverware, which we'll talk about in a second. You'll get your flowers, Billy.
And a shout out to Messi, who with those 3 assists, he became the second player in MLS history to have 40 combined goals and assists in a season. Who's the other one? Who's the one that's done it more?
Is Carlos Vela?
Carlos Vela with 49 in 2019. We mentioned a team that won a trophy last week, Vancouver. The most recent team in MLS to win a trophy, though, Saturday evening, the Philadelphia Union. They outlasted NYCFC at home. No small feat to win 1-0 and clinch the Supporters' Shield, with just a few weeks ago it looked like might not happen. Technically, it's their second Supporters' Shield, though. 2020, as I mentioned to you guys in text, Philadelphia played New England 6 times in that 2020 season. So I don't think, with that COVID year and everyone kind of playing in pods, I don't think we can really even count that. But
that's a true Mickey Mouse year.
Mickey Mouse year. 2020, we're not going to count too much. So Philadelphia Union, Supporters' Shield winners. However, guys, the Supporters' Shield winner has only won MLS Cup twice in the last 13 years, John. Is it going to be 3 in 2025?
No. I think the Union have a great team, obviously, or else they wouldn't have been able to do this, to put this regular season run together to lift the Supporters' Shield. And I even was, talking them up a little bit when they were my winner of the weekend last weekend on this very show. Armand was trying to diminish their achievement with injuries and that kind of thing. I said they'll be totally fine, and they were. Mikel Ure, who's kind of the replacement for Quinn Sullivan in a way, is the guy who scores the goal that they're able to protect against NYCFC. Andre Blake is back and healthy, which I mentioned last week, to me is so critical, so huge. I do think they're rounding into form at the right time. But you look at the path, the other teams that they're going to have to beat, I just think that those teams have enough creative energy. One of them has Lionel Messi. One of them has Evander. I just think that it's going to be very difficult to stop these teams to get even to the MLS Cup final, where it's one game and anything can happen.
John, I disagree. I think Philadelphia is going to be the team lifting the trophy in December.
Your pick.
They are my pick to win MLS Cup.
Are you saying that? Like next week, if we do playoff picks, you're still picking.
You're gonna say, wow.
Yes. When we do our predictions, unless there is some crazy injury in the next week, we will do predictions after the last week of the season, after decision day. We'll do predictions, and I'm going to take Philadelphia, assuming there are no big. He's got the pen. He's writing it down. Write it down in ink. And here's the reason why, guys. They've sold me. I am sold now. And the reason is because defense. It's not because of offense. Look at what their defense has done over the last few weeks. They have 5 shutouts in their last 6 MLS games. Now, that one game was a 7-0 loss to Vancouver. But
they got it out of their system.
They got it out of their system. 5 out of their last 6 shutouts. And I started to think about it, guys. And actually, when I started researching, and thinking yes or no, I wanted to say no. But I just can't get past who is going to go to Philadelphia and beat them. Maybe Miami. I wouldn't favor anyone else against them. And the other key is look at the teams in the West, because I think on a neutral field, I would take LAFC or Vancouver against them. But if Philadelphia makes MLS Cup, it's going to be at Subaru Park. It's going to be in December. It's going to be cold. It's going to be gross. I favor Philadelphia in those games, Armand.
Man, that's a really the thing is, that's a really compelling argument.
I've sold them. See, I'm selling everyone.
But when you
Pretty
watch
good.
Philadelphia play, they play in a way where it's like, okay, MLS defenses screw up passing the ball, and if you're a bad passing team building out of the back, you are going to screw up turnover, and that's how they capitalize and score in transition. Now, you talk about Miami, John. How is their transition defense? It's terrible.
Not good.
And that's where Philadelphia actually shines, is in transitionary moments. They're, I think, one of the most direct teams in the MLS. Shout out Sebastian Bush and his little visualization. I think they're like top, like 1 or 2 in pass, like lowest passes per possession. And
Why
also,
do you shout it out and diminish it? Shout out that it's his little chart.
I actually think it does benefit Miami that they would play Philadelphia in a 1 game. If it was a 3 game, I think I would favor Philadelphia more, because I think the over 3 games, like anything can happen in 1 game, a messy moment of magic kind of thing.
Daniel, I'll tell you this: the one thing where it gives me pause is who are they gonna play in that 8 seed game? That 8 seed game.
Don't talk to me about the 8 seed game, please.
I mean, it's gonna be dangerous, right?
Please
like,
don't talk to me
about Orlando.
He's trying to sneak a Columbus talking point.
No, Orlando and your boy Oscar.
You're trying to tell me. Okay.
It's and Chicago with Greg Berhalter.
Don't tell me Chicago is going to beat Philadelphia.
Who knows how to game plan. And Columbus, which I don't think they'll do anything. I think they'll be knocked out in the wild card game. I don't think they make it to MLS Cup, guys. I think they will get to the semifinals. I think they'll make it past the first round, but I don't see an MLS Cup victory for them. It's hard for me to see this team continue to. I feel like they're easy to beat, man. Even though they haven't, even the regular season,
they have 7 losses.
But I feel like it's easy to beat. I feel like they're easy to beat. And the Supporters Shield, I'll be honest, I used to have it at a really high importance thing. It's way down. It's much less important to me as unbalanced as the MLS.
Why does it change?
The MLS season is just really unbalanced, man. You don't play the same amount of teams, you don't play the same teams across everything. If a team in the Western Conference won, they're all beating each other up. I said the same thing. I mean, it's gone down in importance. Usually it should be, because it's just a sign of consistency. But for me, the unbalanced schedule just makes it kind of moot.
3 other trophies were handed out last Wednesday. We had Vancouver Whitecaps in what really was somewhat of a training exercise, winning the Canadian Championship. You had Nashville SC winning the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup, and then you had Toluca coming from behind in an electric game against the Galaxy to take home the Campeones Cup. John, which of these trophies was the most significant win last Wednesday?
Oh, it has to be the U.S. Open Cup. Nashville is a team that has not won anything. They're, kind of trying to say that no one in the state has ever won anything. They got us debating hockey stats out
the
here.
President's Cup.
The Predators won the
Hockey
President's
Supporters
Cup,
Shield,
which is the Supporters Shield of hockey. Yeah. So, but either way, they've got a major trophy now in their trophy case. And in either team that was, someone had to win, and someone was going to get their first trophy. It was a fun game. It was a good game. Some penalty calls that were questionable, certainly. I think on both sides. I don't think Austin's that they got to take and didn't convert was a penalty. I don't think the Nashville's was a penalty. So overall, that's games, right? That's the sport. That's the final, is that anything can happen. Sometimes the referee doesn't, your whistle doesn't favor. I thought it was a good game. Both teams had opportunities. The fans were electric. The energy was good. And this is also a trophy that, we're constantly reminding people, has history and is important. It's more than 100 years old. One of the oldest competitions for any sports in the U.S. So to me, it's important and it matters, and the final lived up to its billing. Last week we sort of didn't get into it, but we said, hey, maybe people are covering it well enough, maybe they're not. I didn't get to do a piece about it, but CBS really went all out.
They did a great job
to them.
Big
Credit to them, because there were so many people on site. Matthew McConaughey was on set. Mauricio Pochettino was on set. So, I mean, they really hit the casual market. If you're just tuning in, seeing what's going on, you recognize McConaughey. And they hit the nerd market. If you're a soccer obsessive, you care about what Pochettino has to say. That was up in the pregame. The broadcast was good, too. So, overall, big game feel, big game moment. Nashville's title mattered the most.
Is there armadillo named Speed Bump? Is that the armadillo?
Yes, it is. Yeah, because I did the piece on I Show Speed meeting Speed Bump at the All-Star game.
Yeah.
You could find that on MLSsoccer.com.
We also had Speed Bump at the game. But John, I'm going to agree with you, but only just. I think you place it at a much higher tier than anything else. For me, it was only just, and the reason why is just because Nashville getting into CONCACAF Champions Cup has a lasting effect too. I think that that's an important thing. I think that I will always keep hyping that.
I mean, I'm not a big CONCACAF guy. So.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
I think that's big. And again, winning your first trophy as a club, I think Nashville, I put them on this like second tier of really well-run MLS clubs. I think there's a few that are better, but I think they are very, very like good, right? Like if there's a few A teams that get the best out of what they have out of their market, I put Nashville at like a B+. And I think that this trophy validates just about everything that they've done. Just like for FC Dallas winning the Open Cup back in the day, it kind of validated an entire 4, 5, 6 year stretch. So I think that, for me, that's the biggest thing about this, is it validates everything Nashville does with their front office, and I think they've done a great job with everything. Armand, I know you might be going in a different direction though.
I'm going up north, guys. And
wow,
I'm going up north.
I was thinking the third one. Okay,
no, I'm going up north. I'm going to the Canadian Championship. You might say, why? It's the Canadian Championship.
I am saying why.
Yeah, why?
Vancouver, the Whitecaps were playing Vancouver FC, who's a Canadian Premier League team. They were obviously outmatched. Vancouver went out to a really early lead, and they really didn't look back after that moment. But Daniel, almost exactly what you're saying, but for Vancouver, they come out of this season with another.
But they've won it. No, because they've won it 4 times in a row.
It's their tournament.
They come out with a CONCACAF Champions Cup spot to reward a fantastic season that they've had. There was a chance that when the playoff seedings happen and how the MLS.
You said they were going to win the West as well. That would get them into the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
But this guarantees it and puts it into their hands. I think again, this is another just good performance from Vancouver that continues to build confidence throughout, and you get over the title hump too. Because look, you had a final of the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and you freaking botched that, get blown out.
But they've won
the really bad taste in your mouth.
But Vancouver, when Vancouver's going to Philadelphia for MLS Cup, they're not saying, guys, we've done this in the final because we beat the bottom team in the Canadian Premier League. Like, we've got this.
I think that definitely instills confidence, though.
That's
in
the
that.
thing, man. If it's Forge, even, it's another situation. A proven team who's had CONCACAF
or Montreal
success.
or Toronto.
Right, well, and the other MLS teams, of course. But I guess my point is
the diminishing of Canadian Premier League teams is crazy on this podcast.
That's what I'm saying. Especially from not diminishing Canadian Premier League.
A CONCACAF guy. That's crazy.
I'm saying I'm not diminishing Canadian Premier League teams, except for a team that's won 4 out of 26 matches in that league this year. Good run, congratulations. And I guess like in one way you could say high-low, right? Like if the Whitecaps had lost that, our segment is what an embarrassment. Sure. How did they lose this? But they never looked in danger of losing it, and this is a tournament that they are basically the owners of. So.
I thought you were gonna say Campeones Cup though, because for me that game was electric.
I mean that game was fun, but
I get there's nothing on the line. I in some ways I get that, but
it's weird how much Toluca cared.
They came out in that second half and they put. I mean that was as much effort as they will put into.
It was fantastic.
And it was
yeah, that's Toluca, man. They just do not stop. They keep attacking.
And how about Turco Mohamed? How about Mohamed getting sent to the box and then his son gets sent to the box as well?
Like father, like son.
Okay. Well, guys, we've reached another international window. For John, happily. For me, okay. We'll take a break. For Armand, probably right there in the middle as well. But it's exciting from a U.S. men's national team perspective because the roster is out for their pair of games, friendlies against Ecuador on Friday night in Austin. Are you going to that game, Armand?
I am going to that game.
All right. Well, Armand, look out for Armand. If those Hex listeners out there, look
I'll
out
be in
for
the
Armand.
supporter section. I guess that's where
Mention the Hex to Armand, and he'll buy you a beer.
I will buy you a beer.
Okay.
1,000%.
At least
Lock
one.
it down. And then Tuesday night they play Australia in Denver. Two World Cup teams. So definitely a good test. And guys, the roster is out. And we're going to talk who is the player with the most to gain in this window, and it's a significant roster because there's a lot of players back that we haven't seen recently. Jedi Robinson is back. Weston McKennie is back. No Tyler Adams for this one. I don't think there's any significance to that.
He's having a baby.
He's having a baby. Congratulations to him. Get some time with your newborn. But what player has the most to gain? And for me, it's actually going to be someone who has been on the roster a lot, and it's going to be Diego Luna. And the reason for me why Diego Luna has the most to prove from this is it's like, okay, Starboy, you did it in Gold Cup. You did it with the B squad. You were the best player on the field at many points. Tillman as well, obviously, but you were the engine. It was running through you. Now, let's get you in there with Pulisic, Weah, and Balogun and see what you can do. Let's see if, are you a player that raises your level with these guys? Or are you a guy where when these guys are there, you can't quite keep it up with them? You're going to have Weston behind you. I don't know who the other kind of center back. I mean, I don't know if he'll start or not. I hope he does. I hope we get all four of those players on the field together. But for me, guys, that's the player because that's the guy that you're like, okay, can he start in a World Cup? That's what we're asking.
I was going to say Malik Tillman for the same reason.
Sure.
Because I think that Tillman was the star during the Gold Cup. He did so much. He scored the goals. He created chances. And for me, after the Gold Cup, I was saying this guy has to start at the World Cup if he continues this form. But then it was a weird move. The move to Bayer Leverkusen, the instability that club has already experienced, firing Erik ten Hag after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think it makes it a difficult situation for a player who was brought in theory, by ten Hag. I don't know exactly what the relationship where there was. We got a guy with Dutch soccer, upbringing and a Dutch guy. You would think there was connection there. Well, that guy's gone. So now you have to figure out how to kind of make yourself important at the club level. He's been okay, some good showings already, but I think it's just rocky ground since that Gold Cup. Is the national team sort of a safe house for him, a nice place for him to be, and how does he connect with those stars? Because look, I think we all say, well, Pulisic, whether or not he makes a penalty for AC Milan during the weekend, he's the best player. He's the best player on the team. He does well on set pieces. He does well on almost everything. How does Tillman work with him? How do they work together? To me, is why I think Tillman has the most to prove in this squad. Not necessarily for making the roster. I do think he has a pretty safe
sure.
spot. But can he be in that starting 11? Because it does seem like there's a couple vacancies in the attack.
So we're kind of thinking along the same lines, Armand. Where are you looking?
I'm going in the back, guys. I'm going defensively because we saw Mauricio Pochettino unleash this back three that looked fantastic against Japan, right? So who's going to be the third center back? In that game, it was Tristan Blackman. My player to watch is Miles Robinson. Miles Robinson has experience playing in a back three in Cincinnati. Theoretically, he has Cameron Carter-Vickers and Mark McKenzie, who are also great center backs as well. But Miles Robinson, I think, again, with his experience in there, pairing with Chris Richards and potentially Tim Ream, right? I think he has a leg up because of his experience playing consistently in the back three. They've played consistently in the back three in Cincinnati for the last 2 seasons. He's comfortable in there. Will Pochettino unleash his back three? I would be pretty surprised if he didn't because of the success that it had immediately. I know he says, I like to try things. I want to, put out different looks, etc. But for me, it's that third center back role. It's going to be interesting. I don't think it'll be Tristan Blackman.
It adds a lot of intrigue to the roster, or to the lineups. I haven't really been curious about lineups, too much in these friendlies, but to me, it adds a lot of intrigue with that. Right?
Exactly. And I think to your guys' point, I mean, we talked about last week with Alejandro Zendejas, right? He is a guy who's
pick Zendejas.
Yeah. He's going to be pushing, Malik Tillman and Diego Luna as one of those attack-minded players as well too. So it's the pressure that I think Zendejas is also putting on those guys. Hey, I'm here too. I want to push for that starting spot.
Now, to the matches that matter in CONCACAF, the next round of World Cup qualifying is going on over the next 2 weeks. Huge matches. We're going to know so much more, maybe even have teams qualified for the World Cup here in the next 2 weeks. John, Let's have you kick us off here. First off, because you're heading out on the road. Where are you going, and what are the most significant matches of this window in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying?
Well, hopefully, I'm able to go to the most significant matches. It's always a bit of a game where you're trying to figure out what's going to matter and which results are going to go which way to make your trip the most memorable, to make the video the best, to make the news article the best. I'm headed to Suriname. This is a country that exists, first of all. Many people don't even know that. Former Dutch colony, geographically South American, but culturally Caribbean. They've been in CONCACAF for a long, long time and actually have a really rich soccer history that kind of took a big gap. They struggled and they weren't able to bring over players, but now Dutch-born guys are eligible, so they have a really strong national team, and they're leading Group A. They host Guatemala, and then they go to Panama. That game against Panama may be the decider, and if Panama isn't the winner of that group, it's going to be a big shock. So I don't think we'll have anything decided in that group this window, but certainly we're going to be much closer to knowing which team wins. Again, Suriname sits atop and in that sense controls its own destiny, right? So they host Guatemala, they go to Panama. I think the other games that I'm really excited about, Curacao hosts Jamaica. Jamaica started fantastically. They've been really good. They got Andre Blake back. They have some other guys coming back from injury. That's Friday night as well. I say as well because Suriname, Guatemala is also Friday night. That one to me is like a really, really big one where you say, oof, that one could kind of make the difference. And then Costa Rica really struggled. They gotta be Nicaragua at home. They gotta be Nicaragua at home.
Yeah.
That one's maybe not the one where you're like, look, they go to Honduras as well. If they can get it, they've got 2 draws so far. If they can get a draw out of that and win, they should be in decent shape. But Honduras is leading that group. They've got 4 points. Everybody else is on either 2 or 1. So that first match where Honduras is hosting Costa Rica might also be the kind of top game.
And if Jamaica can get that point against Curacao, that's really, really the key, right? And because if Curacao can't beat Jamaica, then Jamaica is going to host Bermuda in the next game, which is obviously pretty likely to be a win. There. And then you're pretty close to home. What would it mean to Jamaica to qualify for a first World Cup since 1998?
We should really say first men's World Cup because the women qualified sort of despite what the JFF went through for a long time, or what the JFF put them through. And I think that's sort of the underlying story. A lot of times when we talk about Jamaican football, we know that they have talented players. We see guys in MLS, we see guys from the Premier League, so many guys, whether born on the island or naturalized through descent. So such large migration from Jamaica to England. The Windrush generation, all those different things. There's a lot of eligible players that Jamaica has convinced or failed to convince who are top Premier League talents. So it always has seemed like they're on the cusp. And then they had a really miserable summer. They didn't get out of the Gold Cup group stage for the first time in many tournaments. They had a bunch of injuries in September. You said, man, these guys are struggling. And then they rolled out, smoked Bermuda, won against Trinidad and Tobago, and now they're totally in control. So I think it would be huge for them because, soccer is important there. They have a lot of talent, but there hasn't been a Caribbean team qualify for the World Cup since Trinidad and Tobago. So, it's been a long time, and whoever comes out of that group is, making really a statement for the sub-region, for the area of the Caribbean, and Jamaica, I think fans would be over the moon. It seems to me it's always been a sleeping giant on the field and off the field. They're, the jerseys are cool, and they do collaborations now and then with Adidas and Wales Bonner, all these like cool designers, and Bob Marley's family's involved, and just good vibes. Obviously, I mean, we think about vibes. Jamaica's kind of the definition, right, of vibes. So I think it would be huge, and we'll see if they're dancing in the streets of Kingston next week.
If Jamaica makes the World Cup, those games might smell a little different than some of the other games.
They might smell kind of loud. But John, I wanted to bounce. I know because we went down the rundown and talk about intriguing games. I'm intrigued by Haiti, and I want to kind of hear your thoughts on that. They had that wild game against Costa Rica where they drew 3-3. They play Nicaragua away. Well, I mean, I guess technically all their games are away, even though some of them are home with the neutral site, and then they play Honduras. Then they have their neutral site, with Costa Rica later on. If you get a couple of results there, I feel like they're in a pretty good shape. And I mean, they looked pretty good against Costa Rica, in my opinion. Whether that's a bad Costa Rica or a good Haiti, I don't know. But they seem to be kind of like a team kind of on the outside that could make a little bit of a late run.
Well, you talk about what it would mean for Jamaica to make the World Cup. What would it mean for Haiti to make a
Yeah.
men's World Cup again
Yeah.
for the first time in decades and decades when Haiti can't play at home because essentially look, I don't want to be too harsh, but like essentially it's a failed state. I
Mhm.
mean, we hope that it rallies and things go well, but the gang violence there is crippling for normal people. Can't play soccer there. There are people that are playing still, but it's tough. So, it would just be a huge emotional boost, not to say it would fix the problems, but I think it would be a huge boost for the country and for the diaspora. A lot of these guys are from that diaspora and they were hoping to have even more. There's some players who are Wilson Isidore from Sunderland is the big name where they're eligible for France and for Haiti. They sure hope they pick Haiti. They thought maybe they would convince him, but they haven't yet. But they have had some new guys join up, right? Jean-Louis Bellegarde, for the Wolves player, made a huge impact immediately in his first two games in that window. There's other guys who are familiar. Dukans Nazon with that hat trick. Ricardo Ade, the center back, who's been in South America for many years, plays for a Libertadores team. These are good, talented players in top leagues. They have a very good system, I think, as well compared to some of the competition. They know the style that they want to play. They know what they want to put on the field. It's a difficult window with two away matches, but then you get the neutral site, which at least doesn't have people yelling at you, right? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, you're not people are not cheering for you, but they're also not cheering against you. So if they can look, I would say if they get through the window with two, maybe they still go into the final with hope. But even then, like Nicaragua is the type of team you think you can pick off, but it's going to be a very good atmosphere. The Estadio Nacional atmosphere really surprised me in a good way for that game against Costa Rica and Nicaragua. Hopefully the fans turn out again for this one. But look, like honestly, and of course I'm a sicko, so I would say this, but like they're all good games. Like there's really nothing bad at this point. You've got every team has 4 matches left. 3 of these teams are going to the World Cup, and a lot of them are teams that don't habitually go. So the stories are fantastic. Hopefully we can tell them here on the Hex and on the newsletter and everything.
Yeah, in the newsletter, get CONCACAF.substack.com. Be sure to subscribe if you are not. And we'll round it out with the spot. All of these teams are trying to get to the World Cup. Less than 9 months away now, barreling
That's
towards
crazy,
us.
man.
Crazy.
That's
Armand and
crazy.
I locked in tickets for the USA game in Seattle, which is going to be really fun. Looking forward to that one. And guys, the ticket prices, because finally the windows or whatever are opened for people who won the ticket lottery and they were able to log in and see. And so the prices have finally been released. And a few things we've noticed. That category D, those $60 tickets, there's about 5 rows in each stadium with $60 tickets. And even category 3, we got Cat 2 tickets in Seattle. That's basically upper deck tickets. Everything else, lower level, in just about every stadium is category 1, which kind of makes things really interesting. Now, Armand, you and I, we have Maverick season tickets. We're always kind of buying tickets to a lot of different events and keeping an eye on it. What do you think about these ticket prices now that we are able to kind of see them? Because I will say too, like the final gets the headlines. I think it's stupid to focus on the prices to a FIFA World Cup final. Like, come on, you're not looking at the Super Bowl.
Especially now, the full allocation isn't out yet, right?
Right,
Exactly.
the full allocation is now. It's silly to focus on it. But what are kind of your overall impressions?
I think if people are looking to try to make money off it, that they're going to be sorely wrong. And I think I take our experience from the Euros, Daniel, as a good kind of segue into that. Daniel and we went to a Romania-Ukraine game, which at the time we didn't know what the game was.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like one of those ones where like after a draw, you'll see it, etc. So we bought those tickets for like $130, $140 a category, I think 3 or 4, I think it was.
Yep.
And they were like, first off, it was a great game, like, but that's besides the point. The tickets when we went back, when the draw was announced, the tickets had dropped like $70 or $80. There is going to be a lot of people, and I know because people aren't really familiar with kind of like the process of the Euros, where we had to go through the.
Dude, your connection is like category 4. It doesn't
I know.
exist.
I know it's not looking good. Well, sorry about this discussion of FIFA ticket pricing. My connection is messing up right now. So we are going to wrap it, and let us know in the comments what you think about the World Cup ticket prices, and we will catch you next week on the Hex.